And then she proceeds to bring up something I said on podcast with Danica Patrick. She said, she asked you about a goal of humanity, and I believe you said something along the lines of oneness all the time. Is this possible all the time, or is it inevitable to fall into a stage where we forget for moments that we give ourselves the challenge of continuously finding our way back? Or do we hit a point where we realize we're in this oneness all the time and have this choice? Maybe this is a more mechanical question, but just wanted to add something to today's discussion. So, yeah, oneness is another one of these really broad concepts, and you hear it thrown around all the time. And I think it's also the super misperceived one because people think of oneness as a very elevated experience where, you can just come into it and kind of dissociate from everything that this world involves. And that's why it would seem that it's impossible to experience in this dimension. Because in a way, to experience oneness is to occupy higher dimensional awareness while in a 3D self. That's for all of us to feel that kind of a feeling. You need to be able to honor the 3D-ness of life and the physicality, but at the same time, you need to be able to cultivate in yourself the ability to let in something higher and more all-encompassing. When you do that, you literally start to feel totality in these ways that you sense contradictions, you feel contrasts, you feel pain as much as pleasure, you see darkness as much as beauty, you start to experience this indivisible nature. And to make it even more mind-bending, think about who you are specifically as a self relative to oneness, exiting the temporal nature of this experience. You haven't been born yet, and you've already died. You are all of your wounds, you are your full pain body essence, and at the same time, you are your soul essence, completely boundless, unwounded, unable to be anything but healthy, and completely coherent. So that might seem like total paradox. How can you be all of that at the same time? Well, oneness gives you the ability to feel that. And when you're in contact with your 0 point, you're literally at that nexus point where you can feel both at the same time. It's like that portal in between everything that creates the limited concept of the self in the 3D reality. All of that is real and it has to be acknowledged, of course. But at the same time, you're able to fully contact this other world of who you really are. And in a way, that is more real than this reality because it allows you to sense everything that persists, everything that continues on the soul journey, everything else that wants to be brought through you. And it also gives a sense of really what is your purpose that can only be felt when you connect more to that higher dimensional awareness of who you are, as opposed to what the limited avatar self is able to sense. So in that way, oneness can be felt as not just a temporary state, because if you were to try to get there at the level of the 3D self, you're trying to feel oneness like get into a meditative state, or people taking psychedelics, take like a whiff of oneness, It's very temporary and it creates momentary coherence, but then an even deeper collapse point, because basically it allows you to stabilize around an artificial vantage point or a moment of awareness that's allowing you to feel oneness, but as a temporary experience. It's not all qualities in yourself becoming organized in that way of oneness. And that's what could be possible if you focus more on the 0 point and how oneness can turn into a quality of yourself. So if oneness is a quality, that changes our definition completely. What oneness feels like inside you is more, it comes back to that non-attachment. It comes back to that feeling of when you're letting go and you're able to sense that there could be a big difference between what you think right now is connected to reality versus what would come through as connection and true oneness, being interwoven with everything around you and inside you when you plug yourself into that 0 point experience. So tap into that, all of you guys. What do you think oneness is right now through your ego, lower self nature? Is it oneness with your job, with your loved ones in a way that there's like a fear of losing them, or there's some kind of control around those relationships? What causes your feeling of being one with reality? Is it like these invisible threads you've cultivated to create safety, to stabilize yourself? Because if that's the case, then there's another dimension to what this faulty meaning of oneness can create for you. A lot of people create oneness through the meaning of love that still enforces separation, which is basically like, I love you for me, and I love me for me, right? That's oneness at the level of you're trying to saturate your feeling of connection to reality by loving other people to still have a certain feeling of deeper connection to yourself, what they can bring you, or an experience that can be returned back to you, instead of it being an unconditional meaning of loving for the sake of love. And so that can be transformed if you start to think of love as an experience of allowing your love to be pushed beyond you to return back to you even more freedom, unconditionally. So in every relationship, it can be about loving the other person or being for them, truly appreciating what it is inside them that allows you to feel more of a connection to that eternal part of yourself, not the ego that's seeking anything through the connection or dynamic, but more of a complete release of why you would be needing to be in that relationship. Because that need is what, again, governs the fear of the wounded self. It's afraid of abandonment. It's afraid of being left alone. It doesn't want to lose a sense of being loved by other people. So it's constantly craving connections and socialization and love just for the sake of feeling loved based on what it gives or what it allows itself to receive, based on the obsession of that need existing. So imagine if you challenge all of those things, like even the job that you love, even the people that you love that you might think you won't be able to live without. If you just transform that into savoring the moment and allowing love to exist for the sake of nurturing the field of reality around you and yourself as an intrinsic part of that field, it becomes a much more harmonic dance of energy. And then there isn't a fear so much around like keeping all these elements stable as they are. It's more of an act of appreciation, nurturing, nourishing that everything stays in coherence, because you feel ultimately like you loving other people is an act of you loving yourself. That's the highest definition of oneness, in my opinion. It's pure empathy. It's wanting to stabilize more of reality through everything that you do. So your purpose could be just to bring in that degree of coherence through any role that you choose, through any dynamics you're a part of, because you feel that's your way of sharing oneness coming through you and spilling that into the world. We're these purifiers. And it takes a lot of the stress and pressure away from, finding your purpose. If you just feel that you're here to harmonize yourself enough to even have access to this kind of beautiful awareness that everything you do is helping. And if you spread this with your loved ones, it's like helping them remember that this is the sacred origin of our humanness. The more that we love, the more that it ripples into our fields and it creates this balancing mechanism. There's parts of you that maybe are afraid of experiencing oneness all the time. They doubt if it's possible. Maybe parts that still feel broken. They don't feel like they're part of the totality. Well, think about if you're one with those parts, what happens then? Because I think that there is an element where we're always experiencing the oneness of reality. We just don't necessarily see it or understand it. And when we break off from that in our awareness, we can harbor this fear and resistance and feel there's something wrong with us and want to choose certain adaptive mechanisms that take us away from the point of continually integrating. So in the case of like anyone that can have a beautiful day and then something happens that, takes you out of alignment, you aren't actually necessarily out of alignment. You're being challenged by something that you need to understand how to be one with in a different way. Bring more love into that. Give yourself the respect that you deserve to decompress and to realize, even if you have your off moments, this is part of, the act of orienting around the fullness of your experience. All of that is allowed, and the human experience is exceptionally messy, just to, I guess, challenge us to be as coherent as possible with it all and in spite of it all. So I hope this resonates with you guys. We all can do our part. Kat says, oneness is our fundamentally true state. We're literally one consciousness perceiving itself from infinite angles. All perspectives are seemingly separate until remembered and integrated. Yeah, I love that. Such a fascinating thing to think about, like truly the fractality of the experience. And Ronnie said, I love the idea of consistently aiming to view every other human, not only as a part of ourself, but also as divine, just like ourself. I heard someone say, maybe Ram Dass, that we should imagine that every person we encounter in life as the divine in drag. Yeah, how's that for oneness? Exactly. Where they're a part of you, they're a part of God. There's that inside each and every person. And I think that's a massive side effect, so to speak, of entering this state of oneness, is you can see that so effortlessly. Sometimes it ends up creating some conflict for people. The difficulty is that truly, if you get to the point of feeling that all the time, then you might be bypassing the true configuration of somebody because you're seeing their divine self. So there has to be an acknowledgement of like, this is what you're capable of seeing. If you are feeling inner beauty, you're going to see beauty. If you're in that disorderly, wounded state, you're going to be seeing a lot of woundedness around you. It's only natural. But if you're seeing divinity and you're feeling that coherence form inside you, you're going to be seeing all the potential people have, constantly feeling their goodness. Sometimes they don't actually want to live up to that. So it's important to also respect, where are people? And sometimes in your oneness, you need to set boundaries. This is another interesting paradox. If you find yourself entertaining every option because you see the purity in people, but you end up feeling drained because of that, perhaps you're not realizing that to stay in the coherent state as somebody that is one with reality, you need to be also respectful of the conditions you need to maintain your own coherence. So it doesn't dismiss the importance of boundaries, rest, self-respect in terms of choosing relationships that actually nourish you. You can easily get taken advantage of or feel disappointed by people if you're dismissing what they are showing up as. That's the part where you have to integrate the real 3D reality in front of you. And that's just as important as everything that exists above and beyond this time-space matrix. So it's quite a delicate balance in between the two. He said, what common denominators can you detect in different reality models familiar to you? Like synergic theory, Grinberg, synchroemergent theory, irreducible, Fagin, simulation theory, Campbell, the most famous children's theory of reality where every bumblebee is just magic. That's really cute. And I think that's an important part. You can't leave that part out. When people are obsessed with models of reality, it usually becomes very logos oriented, sometimes reductionistic, like trying to understand what's the unifying bridge, what's the missing theory of everything in physics and reality at large. I personally love those fields. I'm definitely a polymath behind the scenes. I've accumulated tons of research and evidence in all these different fields: physics, biology, mathematics, music. I love to see those invisible threads that connect every field and discipline in reality. But I also believe that the most holistic approach focuses on consciousness as the overarching bridge. And what you're asking, David, really, these are like the underlying principles of what consciousness really is that allows the common denominators to shape up. It's not about necessarily the specifics, because sometimes these theories, even though they're trying to communicate that same sense that reality is unified, that there is, a certain template of consciousness from which everything arises, they get overly complex and it could feel like the systems are competing with each other, which I don't like. I wish almost every different theorist and philosopher and polymath in the world, especially alive these days, would try to work together to come up with a real summative unifying bridge to merge all these disciplines, because that's really the point. If we're trying to integrate, everything has to connect with everything else. And if anything is left out, then we're not able to see that bigger picture. So my answer would be that the missing common denominator is that it's a holographic field of information. So the nature of the holographic principle is that every point is interconnected, and within every point exists the totality. That's what brings to life our concept of the 0 point. The 0 point of the individual is that singularity that is irrevocably connected to the 0 point field. There's no difference between your singularity inside you, that nexus point between self and soul, this dimension and other dimensions, and any other point of the matrix that allows for that same experience. It's what allows the finite element of physicality to connect with the eternality. And it's also what resolves this dichotomy between life and death, between like a single aspect and the oneness of it all. So really, this is what consciousness is. It's creating an experience through an informational field that we all have access to create coherence. Without that coherence, everything feels entropic and disorderly and chaotic. But really, there's pattern detection that's necessary to bring back that coherence. When we can start to create the entropy inside of ourselves, that's when we can literally recohere reality through us. And that's the experience that consciousness allows us to have. This is why when you find yourself experiencing greater order within you, your field of consciousness will be more magnetic to opportunities to continue that way of evolving. And that's why when you learn a lesson, it's like you're not going to have those same lessons return in your life, because literally your field is transforming those qualities that weren't coherent that allow you to now pave the way for something of a higher quality. This is how consciousness operates across all scales of reality. It's how ecosystems support themselves. It's how the body is able to translate information for its functioning from the morphogenetic field. It's why organs know what they're supposed to do. But if you become destabilized within your own vessel, when you harbor those congested emotions, when you don't allow yourself time to really be in sync with your own nervous system, with your biological rhythms, you're going to deal with those anomalies. And you might blame the vessel, it's broken, something happened at the level of the organ system, but really it's all coming from a higher holistic place. When you become discordant, these bodily functions will also start to feel disorderly. So it's like waiting for us to remember that we order reality at the level of consciousness. And that's a top-down approach. It begins with understanding like we operate that at a level beyond our minds. We have to seek how we can create more order in all parts of our lives. And then reality starts to make more sense. Like everything in reality, not just our own experience. We can start to just understand what's happening behind the scenes on the subtle energy plane in other people, in the environments, why even the world goes through these massive cycles. Because this is like the cosmic birthing, rebirthing, reset points that happen when things become entropic, and necessary resets have to happen to restore the neg-entropy or the order over time. Mother Nature proceeds to move in these rhythms too, because it's necessary for everything to stay in flux in that way for the larger level harmonization process. So that's what I think the common denominator is. Like all these reality models are attempting to explain the same thing in different degrees of complexity. But I think the ones that hold the most veracity, they include that feminine aspect too, which is the part of feeling and really understanding like why this is important. That's why guys know I love Federico Fagan so much, because he always talks about love. He always brings it back to the point, even being an incredible scientist, you know, a genius understanding consciousness and coherence at the quantum level. There's no reason to have this experience without being able to learn how to love, because that's ultimately what restores coherence more than anything else. Love creates that kind of centripetal architecture that brings it all home and allows us to cooperate with the rest of the cosmos. So that would be cool if there was a unified theory that connects it to love as really that universal function of integration.